if it's your dream to become a football coach and work abroad, especially in Asia, or if you're already a football coach and you're wanting to escape your home country, let's say if it's in the UK, and head over to Asia or somewhere else in the world to coach, then you want to be continuing to watch this video because I'm going to lay out the blueprint, what I followed. So you can take everything I'm going to say from this video and use it into your own life to coach as a career, as a job, as a passion. Okay, so grab a pen and paper or an iPad or laptop to make some notes because I'm not going to edit this. I'm not going to put any fancy graphics or noises. I believe if you know what you're talking about, or at least you know what you're talking about a little bit, it doesn't need to be scripted. It should be natural. So I don't know how long this is going to take. Look, I've got bipolar and ADHD, so I could go off on a lot of tangents. I haven't structured anything as such. I would try and put everything into some kind of order the best I can, but I'm in a energetic mood, so I thought I'd throw this out for all the current coaches and potential coaches out there. So not everything may be relevant to you right now. So you can put this on as like a podcast, or if you want to watch my stupid face as well, you can watch it because I'm going to do some notes on the whiteboard, what I've got behind me. So just a quick intro if you don't already know who I am. I'm Matt Ward. I went from a grassroots amateur coach, level 2 coach in the UK after a semi-professional, if you can even call it that, a really bad semi-professional playing career. I then moved to Taiwan, which is my home now, where I got a team promoted into the Division 2 into the top tier league. And then I went to coach professionally in the Philippines top tier league. And then from there I went to China League 1, which is just below the Super League in China. And then I went on to be a head coach in Ghana Division 1 as well. And between that, I've also worked in academies, grassroots academies, professional academies, academy manager, academy director. I worked in grassroots, one-to-one, skills coach, technical coach, consultancy, football business director, everything, you name it. And I still do a little bit now and then, kind of under the radar. But I'm starting to get back into it because I've just recently passed on my travel and relocation business. So I thought I'll start off now because this kind of links into Asia as well, because that is where I live and that's where most of my coaching has been. Also, I did start a network and a website, the British Football Coaches Network, which has now been passed on to Will Wilson, who's continuing that very successfully. So there's going to be a lot of things to take away from this, a lot of resources, and like I said, a bit of a blueprint. And if you do seriously watch or listen all the way through this, I'm pretty sure there's going to be at least one little gem in there what you can pluck out and use it for yourself. Okay, so what I should do to start with is just go into a little bit more detail from the intro what I just did, and just to go through a bit of a backstory through that, and even things like this, like a coach who's worked at all these different levels and going from amateur in a short space of time to then a professional level. It doesn't matter if it was in Asia or wherever it is in the world. Okay, that is some kind of blueprint that you will be able to use and then put it against what your goals are or your why, which I'm going to get into a little bit later on. Also, you got to remember one thing, because first you got to remember, I should be charging this. I normally charge consultancy clients money for this, but I'm going to put it out there for free. Look, if I get some views on YouTube or whatever, great, okay. If you do want to give me a super thanks to show your appreciation, click the super thanks or whatever it is. I think you can donate some dollar, okay. I won't turn that down. So to start with, let's go into the backstory. Now, the first question I get asked, and I still to this day, even though I've not been physically active in the industry, out in the open for a while now, is I might get someone from the UK, okay? And it's not a slant on the Brits, okay? I'm obviously a Brit myself, so I'll just use them as an example. And I'll get a random message, "Hi mate, how you doing?" Like, no connection already been made. So that's the first mistake, right? "Hi, how you doing? I want to move to Asia. How can I do it? Right, okay, let's slow down there, okay? So first of all, that's the right idea, move to Asia. But a trap what a lot of people fall into is thinking that if they apply from the UK or the States, just because they're from the Western country, that an Asian country, now look, I know kind of the Middle East, West Asia is kind of inside the AFC in Asia, but when I'm talking about Asia, I'm talking about, okay, South or Southeast or East Asia predominantly. And we kind of have this arrogance that just because we might have a UEFA B or UEFA A, or you might have worked at a professional academy in the championship, in the second tier in England, that you're entitled to apply for a job from thousands of miles away in your home country. Let's just say in Taiwan, for example, my home. And because you're so amazing and so awesome, they're going to jump at the chance, fly you over immediately, and give you the job with everything you want. You're going to be able to get a house to move your family over as well. You're going to get paid well. You're going to have a great lifestyle. They're going to fly you business class, bonuses, everything's looked after. And then you're going to go straight into the national team. Well, if you don't already know, I'm sorry to break it to you very quickly, but that isn't how it works. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. And this is the first gem. I'm giving you this totally for free. And if people think it might be obvious, but if it was so obvious, why aren't more people doing it? Aha. So I'll put this to you now. And this is true because I've done it in every country where I wanted a job. I've done this and it's worked. Okay, I'm living proof. And you may get people, yeah, but what about, oh no, in my opinion, look, I know we're all allowed our opinions nowadays, online, on the website, on the internet. But when someone is doing something or has done something successfully, it might be a good idea to just park or pocket your ignorance or your arrogance or whatever you want to call it, and actually take little things from it, what you could use and put it towards your life and your own career. Okay. Just a perfect example on that quickly is, let's say professional coaches what work with national team players, England players, Premier League players. And then I cringe sometimes where I look online and look, no offense to grassroots U7 coaches, because I've also coached at that level as well. And my nephew also plays in them levels as well. I love it. And I enjoy doing that. However, you'll have some of these coaches who are allowed an opinion and who may well be very good coaches and better than some professional coaches. That's a fact. You might have them saying, oh, I disagree with that. You don't need to do that. And it's like, come on, right? Read the room. You got maybe a coach what's working with England national team players, Premier League players, making hundreds of £1 million moves to different clubs. And the U7 coach is saying, sorry, it is my opinion, but I believe this way works better than yours. And just putting a hard stop on that. If you are a kind of professionally in your industry, you should know, especially football, there isn't just one way to achieve something or to do something, okay? And you find that that is how the best operators work, okay? They will listen to opinions, they will adapt, they will change, and they'll have the strength in character to actually say, yeah, you might be onto something there. Maybe I need to change something or think about something differently. But anyway, getting back to my point. The point I'm going to now allude to is, right now, unless you are a massive, big name, kind of little bit famous coach, and unless you've had some kind of, I need to check if I've got, sorry. Oh yeah, it's on. So because we have a lot of traffic and police sirens, ambulance, I live near a hospital. You sometimes get random background noise. There you go. I've got noise cancellation off around me. So, right, apologies, getting back to that. So unless you're a big kind of little bit famous coach, or you're well known in the coaching industry as a big name coach, let's say in Asia, or you've got a previous name as a player, let's say as Robbie Fowler, okay? because I know that Robbie Fowler went to Australia and also did some things in Asia as well. Unless you got one of them two things, if you're going for a job now, it could be an academy role, maybe within a pro league, unless you have already a connection within the organization, it's very likely that I will get the job if I apply for it over you. Let's say if you're sat in England now, in the UK, anywhere in the UK, anywhere in Europe. Why? Because I'm already here. If we saw the job advert right now, or when you, a neutral person, and I knew, which I probably would, I knew how to get to their main office or the training pitch or whatever, no doubt, even though I've got an AFCA license and you might have a UEFA A license, I talk more about that later on in terms of options and career coaching development and coach education. I have no doubt in my mind, even if you got, UEFA A, okay, great. Some other coaches might be UEFA Pro, but without any kind of experience in the industry, I've got no doubt that I would most likely get the job ahead of you. And it's not because I'm an amazing coach. There's so many better coaches than me, but I'm okay. I can do a job. I can coach at professional level. I have done. Do I enjoy it as some, passionate coaches who just want to coach and be the assistant coach all the time? No, I like managing. I enjoy the mind games. I enjoy the battles on the sideline, on the touchline. I enjoy being a manager. And if I was in a position to hire a better coach than me to coach the majority of the sessions, I would do that. Okay, but again, that's something I will go into and detour into, especially into the why later on. So what I'm trying to tell you is, depending on your arrogance level, do you need to be in a different location? Because I'll tell you something else. If there's a job, what we are both suitable for on paper in Vietnam, I will get the job ahead of you. Do you know why? Because even if it costs me money and sacrifice, I would fly there now, which depending where in Vietnam, would take me, let's say on average, 2 hours, which may take you 15 or 16 hours or 18 hours or 24 hours if you needed to pay for a cheaper flight. And if I didn't have any money, guess what? I would get an overdraft or a loan to make sure that I back myself to get that job before you. So I'm just showing you, not to be a dick about things, but I'm just showing you what some people's mindset, and I'm not in the coaching mindset right now in terms of career. I'm just telling you the facts that when I was in my prime of this mindset, there's no way, if you're sat at home now in the UK thinking, I can handpick that job in Asia, I can get that job, over me, you'd have no chance. I'll tell you that right now. It's just a fact, not being a dick about it. I would go there, I'll make it happen. I would even put on free sessions, whatever. I'll go and meet people. Asians, or most countries, but especially in some countries in Asia, the way to do successful business is connecting over a bit of food, a drink, and some neutral chat about topics what all parties can relate to, okay? Many business decisions are made through there. Many promotions, many job openings are made through there, okay? And again, who's in the best position to do that? I am, okay? If you want to go there, are you willing to back yourself to fly all the way using all that money to maybe get declined and then go back? Not a lot of people are, but that's sacrifice you're going to need. Or you can throw caution to the wind. And if you really want to build a career in Asia, because look, it's personal, for me personally, I'm not interested at working at pro academies in the UK. A lot of people are, great, and it might go into a top job. I hope so one day. Best of luck to everyone. But not only because I got my son here and I've built my life in Asia, but I like the lifestyle. I like that when you do get paid, you have more disposable income to live in an apartment with a swimming pool, with a gymnasium, to be able to go out and eat brilliant food, to be able to travel around beautiful countries within a couple of hours, to be able to get positions, let's say a head coach, while in the AFC Champions League. Oh, but it's not the UEFA Champions League. It doesn't matter. If that's my why, okay, then I'm in a perfect location. So after I give kind of more in depth to my own story, I will feed into this more because it's really going to help you out in choosing your why. If my why was or is to coach at the highest level I can in Asia, I'm in the right place, right? I don't want to be applying for coaching jobs in Asia when I'm sat at home in my mum and dad's living room in England. Throw caution to the wind. Even if you don't get what you need straight away, okay? Get your feet on the ground in the country or a country in the right region and start from there. Because I'm going to go back to the beginning now and I'm going to tell you how to do it and why right now. So in the UK, I used to be a fitness coach, fitness professional, personal trainer, leisure manager, fitness manager, whatever you want to call it, sports masseuse, nutrition advisor. Okay, great. So I was already in the kind of tutoring, the teaching industry. I'll do some kids sessions. I'll do some grassroots coaching and whatnot, but nothing serious. Qualified to level 2. I had some other sports certifications as well, like athletics, badminton and whatnot. But it was the old level 2. And you know what? I didn't really care about it. Maybe I was still a bit immature. Okay, you've got to be quite mature for these things, and fair play to a lot of younger coaches, or maybe psychologically, mentality, we're all different. I struggle on courses around people because of my superpowers of being ADHD and bipolar. So I do struggle in these environments. I can't listen to people when they're telling me directly I need to do it, or I need to write things down a lot, or I just do things for a reason to get to the next step. Whereas a lot of people can go and really make use of their environment. So I did my level 2, but didn't really enjoy it. Didn't really use it. I coached a few amateur league, Sunday league sessions, okay? And at the time, I was still playing. People say at a decent level, but not really. I was unfit, even though I was in the military. I played kind of reserves for a semi-pro level reserves, so you can't even really call it semi-pro. If you have to pay someone to do your job so you can play football, and you end up being minus what you're getting paid, that isn't really semi-professional, I don't think, right? Some people have got the right idea where they're a labourer, or they might be a solicitor or something. So they've already got a full-time job, and then they're earning another full-time wage almost nowadays in non-league football in the UK, which you can do. So I wasn't of that level. So when I moved to Taiwan, I still did some sports coaching, PE teaching and whatnot. And I started getting involved in playing. Played a little bit for fun, but in coaching. So it started, something triggered, grandparents passed away, whatnot. And then I thought, right, that's it. I'm setting myself some goals. So what I did, this is kind of leading into the why now. It sounds a bit morbid, but I'm just laying it out there. I'm very transparent, very honest. I had a photograph of my grandparents who had passed away, and I listed on the back of the photograph, actually I should have got it, it's in the cupboard. And I listed, and I did a timeline by each year what I want to achieve. Okay, so it was like, right, I wanted to redo my level 2 again. I wanted to then do my B license, my A license, and each time I wanted to be at this level, academy or professional coach, then this league, professional coach, and then a head coach in the league, okay? And this was in the past, so it actually went up to like 2024. But by 2018, 19, I'd already achieved it, okay? And look, because of things happen, life happens, yeah, I came away from full-time coaching, professional coaching. But coming into Taiwan, my why at the time, after that, my why was for career and passion. Wasn't about the money, which I'll go into right now. Career and passion, and a little bit about obsession. So, look, like I said, I'm not being a dick about it, but especially when I'm ADHD anyway. And look, people throw that out and everyone's like, oh, everyone's depressed or ADHD nowadays. Well, it's not a fashion thing. It's just the fact that a lot of people are in the world, but it's more common now because more people are more aware about it, okay? It's okay to talk about it. I've just come out of the closet, so to speak, for months. So basically, I've likely had this all my adult life, diagnosed with it in my adult life, but I know I have had these disorders, these superpowers for a long time. But only recently I've been open about it. So I may drop it in here because there may be some of you who are suffering sometimes the same as me. It might help you as well. So obsession. Now this is an issue because if you are fully committed for your career because it's your passion, you do have to be obsessed. I'm sorry. You don't have to be, but if you want to beat people at the same level who might be a little bit better in some areas, where it be experience or qualifications, if you want to beat them people, you've got to be more obsessed. You've got to make sacrifices. Quick sacrifice, which actually links into when I decided I wanted to be a pro coach at senior level, is I had a full-time job. So I'll be awake at 6:30. I do a full day's work. Then I go home, quickly get something to eat, maybe eat something on the way. Then I'd travel another hour to training, not get paid because it was like a second tier, not even an official second tier team at a minute, because I wanted to help get this team promoted to the top tier in Taiwan, the Premier League, which we did in the end, me and the other joint head coach, Rob. So I would quickly get ready, snack on the way, an hour to training, do training, get back, maybe a bit of social, a bit of chat after. Maybe I'm back in at 1 a.m. again, 1 a.m. And I'll do this probably 3 times a week, okay? No one's paying me to do it, but I was obsessed. And I knew I had to do this step to get to the next step. I knew that I had to make this amateur football team. I had to be successful. So when you're with an amateur football team in Taiwan, what does success look like? It looks like making sure that they make it to the top tier league of that country. Because guess what? And this links in to with some other things later on. And another point you should be noting down is you need to know how to market yourself. A lot of people, I don't use social media and stuff. Right, if you're a well-known professional coach, national team manager, not a lot of them are very active in social media, but a lot more pro coaches are. And you find that a lot of pro coaches who are not often without a job. Okay, you do the math, you connect the dots. So I needed that, not only for my own kind of identity, my own brand, but I needed that for the next step in my career, because I needed to be able to know that I can do it and say that I've done it, that I've coached a club in the top tier of a country. It doesn't matter what country. The point is you've got experience doing that. You're playing against or with national team coaches and players, okay? All of a sudden, your amateur fish tank or pond has just grown a little bit bigger. And that's where the journey really starts, right? So I knew I needed that, and I was obsessed. I was absolutely obsessed. Detrimental to my marriage, by the way. It didn't work out. I would take responsibility for that because this came first. But it was able to mean that I was able to be a good father, or I'm a better father now, shall I say, because I haven't been traveling away and coaching professionally, which is, again, something I'll go into. One of the reasons why I no longer coach professionally. But I was obsessed, and I would recommend that you do your best to put in as much as you can and sacrifice as well, okay? I know everyone has hurdles. I know we all have barriers. I can't travel. I can't afford the course. I can't afford to move. I haven't got the time. Believe me, you can find the time. If you want something for your career, even your passion, and you don't make it about money, you got to find the time. Again, I'm not saying, look at me, I'm brilliant. I'm far from brilliant. But I was waking up at 6:30. I was getting in at 1 a.m. I was going straight back to bed. Sometimes I was too excited, buzzing. I'd probably sleep 2 or 3 hours, okay? Because I'll get back and I'll be analyzing training or games or whatever. I was obsessed about it. Is it healthy? No. Not healthy. Will it help you to build a career or some kind of brand as a coach or a name as a coach? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like where I am now to where I was, now I'm very peaceful. Not many people compared to before contact me. I'll be overwhelmed before with some people contacting me in better ways than others. Oh, have you got anything going? Can you give us a job? Hey, Matt, do you want to meet up for a coffee? Oh, can I call you? What do you want to call me about? I don't know you, Or, hey, do you want to come and watch one of my sessions? Okay, now I'm listening, because before asking for something from me, you're offering to give me something, okay? There's a little trick, because I've done some career consultancy and recruitment work before. There's a little trick how to get people's attention. Try giving before you ask for something, okay? Try giving something or offering something of value, whether it's straight away or potentially in the long term, what could be of use before you ask for something. And you've got to have some kind of rapport or build some kind of relationship, whether it be online or face-to-face before, okay? Which is why it's a good idea when you do go to different countries to meet up with someone, even if it is for a coffee. But you've got to realize when everyone's busy, right, with their own stuff going on, making money, following the passion, being obsessed, building a career. You got to understand, it takes a lot of energy, especially me. Like, I have to be really specific with my energy. And although I can seem kind of extrovert, I am very, very quiet and quite reserved sometimes. So just saying, oh, can we catch up? Just a quick call. Like, not a lot of people are into that. Or if you're anything like me, you need to plan it ahead, because you are busy like everyone else. You've got other things doing. And I'm sorry to say, other priorities. You're not always going to be their main priority. So I did that. We won the league. So this kind of unofficial Division 2, we won the league and we went into playoffs for the Premier League, Taiwan Premier League. So we traveled down south. Me and another coach were paying for most of this. All the players were kind of, when they can, they paid for themselves, or they helped to pay subs. Some of them would try and help out with a bit of money or bonuses. Some of them we would help out with some coaching hours in Rob's Academy and whatnot. A lot of them were students. Some of them had jobs, full-time jobs. And we was up against some teams what were kind of training semi-pro professionally, okay, who were relegated from the Premier League and had to go into the playoffs. So we traveled down, we got a bus, we had ice buckets. We tried to do everything as professional as possible. And because we wasn't meant to qualify, we wasn't meant to get promoted, predominantly being a mostly foreign player orientated and foreign staffed club, we wasn't meant to win this thing. So in 3 days, we had 2 games back to back. And the team who was meant to win it had a game, had a break, and then had their deciding game. So we won the first game 1-0. And then the results went, because obviously it wasn't fixed. I'm not saying that whatsoever. And then we went, what happened? Then we drew the second game. No, that's what happened. No, we won the first game, then results went against us. And in the second match, we had to at least draw. But we just played the day before. Players were gone. And it was hot, it was humid, it was raining, it was energy zapping, all the players had cramp and whatnot. I mean, these are lads who are probably used to drinking, on a random Tuesday or Wednesday night. So anyway, we played our final game, we needed a point. 1-0 down, wasn't meant to win it. Actually, their head coach was part of the FA, which I don't know if that's allowed or not, but obviously it is. And we scored in the last second. And it was such a goal that it couldn't be ruled out by offside. It couldn't be cancelled. We scored in the last seconds. And that 1-1 draw qualified us into the Taiwan Premier League. And they were fuming. Their staff, the chairman or the director of one of the FA regions, started throwing like fire extinguishers and dustbins, trash cans at us, which is crazy. But we qualified. So as a joint head coach, my career was looking good. My obsession paid off. Was it easy? No. Sacrifice. I was unhealthy. I put on weight. I wasn't exercising as much as I should have. All I was thinking about was career, my why, my obsession. It wasn't about the money. I was working a full-time job just so I could pay to rent out training pitches. I could pay, to try and help out for some travel arrangements or accommodation for players, okay? I was sacrificing my own life at the time. I wasn't a father, okay? So I didn't have that responsibility yet. But I was in a relationship. I was going into a marriage. Not easy. So I do get it. I do understand. Some people make the tough decision, okay? We all have regrets as well. You're not human if you don't. So I was obsessed. It helped my career. Was it my passion right then? Yes, 100%. And from there, the next season, Premier League, great. Everything we've been working towards. But rightly or wrongly, I already knew that because I now had that on my CV, in my pocket, in my toolkit, I knew that pretty soon I'll be heading elsewhere because my network also was growing. And here's another thing to mark down now. Okay, I don't even know yet. Let's put it here. Your USP. So that's why I'm just going to randomly stick things and erase things on the whiteboard. I haven't done it just for effect. It's literally just to let myself bounce some ideas off, and maybe you can make your own notes as well. So your USP. All of a sudden, I had a unique selling point. Why? What was unique about me? Well, I was now a British coach in Asia who's won a league title. Doesn't matter if it was an unofficial Division 2, who's won a league title and who has now been a coach of a team in a top tier of a league. Okay? As ridiculous as that sounds, it was and it is a fact. Okay? I won a league title. It doesn't matter if it's Sunday League, if it's Premier League or whatever. It is difficult to win a league title because everything is comparative. So everything is compared to where you are, right? At the level, finances, players available, staff available, coaches you're against. I think that's the right word. So a league title is a league title. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Another quick point on that. Many people at the time, because I did end up going back, okay? Again, obsession. I did end up spending more money flying back to the UK twice to do my level 2 again because I wanted a fresh start, okay? So I ended up flying back, spending my own money, sacrifice, losing money from time off work to just restart my level 2 because I actually was in a different mindset. I wanted to refresh. And at the time, I was thinking, right, I need to do that again to refresh and go on to my UEFA B. But as it stands, and I'm going to talk about this later, let me just put a little quals. Let me get a black pen, what works. Quals, that even works. Qualifications, which I'll go on to later, because that is going to play a part, and some people aren't really sure about, what route they need, UEFA or AFC. So I'm going to go into that later as well, okay? If I forget, shout at me out of the screen in the comments. So I did go back and I did that. Wasn't cheap flying back. Doing the course itself, not cheap, okay? Then you had to go back and do all the other safeguarding and first aid and workshop and everything, okay? Big sacrifice, okay? But I'm obsessed. That's what I'm going into. So anyway, after that, win the Premier League, great. I then enroll onto my AFC-B license. So at the time, we played the first game in the Taiwan Premier League, and it was against the defending champions, Datong, or runners-up. But Datong or Taipower usually win the league in them days. They had national team players, former national team coach and staff, okay? Our first game in the Premier League, what happened? We drew 0-0. They hated it. We got a 0-0. I celebrated it like Steve Coppell, like the most boringest, pragmatic Mourinho manager. 0-0. Our first game in the Premier League was beautiful. It was the most beautiful 0-0 that you could think. What a great start. Now, I only did last three or four games, and we actually got 4 points in them first matches, and it put us like in the AFC places, not the Champions League places, but the AFC Cup, which is like the UEFA Cup places, Euro Cup now, whatever it's called. Or the, there's a few different variations now. So I actually left the club in them places. But during this time, I went to then start my B license. Now, because England FA, Scottish FA, Irish FA, Northern Irish, Welsh FA was not entertaining me at all. Now, if you are from the UK, it is very difficult, or back then it was almost impossible to get, if you're abroad, to get on UEFA course. Even now, people have been on waiting lists for 7 years, 6 years, 8 years. Some people are still waiting, okay? It's horrendous. Some people are going to other European countries to do it. If they can get a translator, or if they can go to Spain, if they know some Spanish, they're doing it that way, and it actually works out more affordable as well. So I had no chance. So I ended up going to Australia. At the time, Australia was very open, full of Brits, full of English coaches especially, some Irish as well, some Northern Irish, a couple of Scottish, and they were very open for taking on foreigners. Australia FA were very good, and I did my B license with them. Great. Cost effective wise, was more affordable for me because I was already kind of in the region, but I still had to pay for my flight. You still have to pay for your accommodation because you actually do it intensive and you stay there. So you get it all done in a one-er. I actually passed on the course, so some people had to go off and actually video the course. And back then, you didn't have all the equipment you do now with wireless mics and everything. It was a pain in the ass. So I was really happy to actually pass on course, which was great. I thought I'd slip that in there. So whilst I was on the course, I got contacted by a coach. Look, I'm not going to name drop people, okay, because it's not fair on them people. Not because I'm going to speak negatively. I'll speak very highly of a lot of them. But I will probably miss some people off when I'm talking about British coaches abroad. And, you know, a lot of people, a lot of coaches have done amazing work out there. They're still doing great work out there. And it's not fair to forget names. Okay, so I'll try and avoid naming names. But I got contacted by a head coach. He's been a national team head coach, and he was basically going to be a head coach of the Philippines, where he's already worked. And already he was probably looking for someone, predominantly who had some kind of Asia experience. Okay. Now, if you don't understand why, it's because it's not without its problems, but it's less of a risk. Because trust me, culture shock is a real thing. If you've got a coach, it doesn't matter how good they are. If they're traveling all the way back from the UK and they're going out to the Philippines or even Taiwan or somewhere else, one of the Chinese cities, they're going to come and they're going to be like, oh, I'm away from a family. The food's different. I don't know the language. I've not lived here before. Why is everything weird? Okay, this sucks. I can't do my job. It's too hot. I've got a sweat rash. All these issues start going in your mind. Okay, and yeah, a lot of people are like, this isn't for me. It's not worth it. I'm going. Whereas if you got a British coach, I'm not just saying a British coach, but okay, me, what's already been in a region, can literally get across. So even if I do have a family emergency, it takes an hour and a half to fly back. Kind of less logistical hassle. Don't have to bother finding me accommodation or flight, because my obsession and my passion, money doesn't come into it yet, because I'm like, no, I'll get myself there. No, I want this. I'll pay my own flight. Don't need that. Okay. Whereas the first thing someone might say from the UK is, oh, are you going to pay for my flight? Oh, what kind of apartment are you put me in? And what's the toilet like? No. Worry about that after. Yes, you need to be comfortable. But if you're doing this because you'll do whatever it takes, you're not asking what kind of toilet paper you're using in your apartment and if they're paying your rent or not. Okay. You're doing this thing. So I ended up getting a position in the Philippines Premier League whilst I was just finishing my B license. So thankfully, I did pass very quickly. So headed to the Philippines. So that was great. Again, a coaching experience with a high caliber of player again. Players who have played for pro teams, like reserve players from Osasuna or Real Sociedad, national team players, players who have been Chelsea youth players or whatnot. And again, it's a step up level. Opposition, coaching opposition, okay. Brilliant. We had opposition players who played in the Bundesliga or reserve team for Hertha Berlin or Hamburg or something. So again, it was a next step up and it was first professional contract. Okay, so now you can see the career's coming. The why? Well, my why was career, to get to the highest level I can. And Asia, because I live in Asia and because Asia would probably be the best way to do it. I can't get the highest level as possible in the UK right now. Very difficult. Which a lot of people 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago would say, oh yeah, I'm not like you. Okay, I'm listening. Oh yeah, so yeah, you can be senior men's coach professionally in Asia, but I'm following the pathway. I'm professional club academy coach, U10s, U9s. By the way, I'm not putting that down. That's awesome. Okay, amazing coaches, better coaches than me. So if you got let's say a Hull City U10 coach, very likely that better coach than me. But I fancy my chances in the kind of a senior adult coaching role, especially as manager over them. But coaching wise, I'll go with them every time as an assistant if I was going to take someone with me. But they're saying, no, I'm following that route. And I will guarantee you in 10 years' time, you will see that I'm right because I'm passionate and I know I can do it and I believe myself. No, you arrogant twat. But yeah, okay. I hope that works well for you. And really, I wish you the best of fortune, the best of luck. However, I can't see you going from, unless, depending what level club you are, going from a U9 coach at a second tier club in Europe, going to be a head coach or first team manager of that same club. The likelihood is I've done it already or I've done it in quicker time, rightly or wrongly, and not always rightly. But that's what I wanted to do. I want to be a head coach or a first team coach of a men's senior team. I didn't want to be an Arsenal U10 coach, which is awesome on its own. But I didn't want to do that. So people would kind of have that kind of attitude. I would like to say positively, but it was over arrogantly, which the industry is still full of. You know, when you're meeting people in the industry, you know who you can sit down and have a glass of wine with, who you can have a coffee with. Not everyone's not meant to get on with everyone. And that's why when you are able to work with people or choose your staff, you predominantly, it doesn't matter if they're the best coach or an average coach, you need people around you what you can get on with and trust because you're going to be with them on a daily basis in each other's pockets. So anyway, I look back at some of these people because I remember their names, and 10 years on, they just moved clubs. And I'm not putting them down because they're doing very well, still at professional clubs, but still at the same level. So the ones who were saying, oh, in 10 years' time, I'll be on that bench. I'll be on the bench as assistant or head coach of this English professional club. And they're not, mate, they're not. You 10 years down the line, you're not. It might happen in another 10 years, but the likelihood is before it gets to your turn, dead man's shoes, right? Before it gets to your turn, they would have brought in a foreigner or a former player or brought back another coach. It doesn't often happen. It can happen, and it does happen, which is great. I love that. Absolutely love it. But some people go about it the wrong way, which again, this is probably why it's probably useful to take some notes on this. So, did my B license. I unfortunately, with a heavy heart, had to leave the Taiwan club, left the Premier League. Anyway, they went on to get a couple more wins, but did themselves proud. And the players from that team, a couple of them went on to play for professional clubs in Taiwan in the Premier League. And one of them even played for the national team. Congratulations, William Lopez. William Lopez basically got a citizenship. And yeah, proud of him. And you know what? He deserved more appearances because every time he made an appearance, one of the best players on the pitch. But because he isn't, yeah, I won't get into that. But yeah, because it's William Lopez, yeah, he probably didn't get the opportunities for Chinese Taipei that he deserved. But anyway, 2 of them players went on. Actually, 3 of them players went on to play professionally, getting paid to train and play in Taiwan and live in Taiwan. Not bad work if you can get it. So, heavy heart, I left them behind, went to the Philippines. Enjoyed the Philippines. It wasn't without its problems. Asia does throw up a lot of problems. Even England, professional levels, Championship, League One, League Two. Poorly run clubs are everywhere. Everyone has their problems. Some coaches don't get paid. Not a problem I've ever encountered, by the way, in Asia. Okay, there are some clubs which, you know, aren't great at paying their staff. There are some issues there, but never had that problem myself, thankfully, touch wood, which I know some even everyone says, oh, Eastern European countries, what? No, sorry, I know English clubs, professional clubs, which are sometimes a bit behind paying their coaches. So went to the Philippines. We did all right, but I left before my time. Not the happiest of notes, but hey, it's my character because I'm obsessed. Like everyone at the time, you want what you think is best for yourself, for the team. A lot of pushing, a lot of pulling, a lot of people wanting to take for themselves, everything, a lot of disagreements. I was still very immature. I went around some things the wrong way. However, my USP, what is your unique selling point as a coach right now? Write it down. Write 3 things, what makes you different right now on your bit of paper. I'm not going to sit down and wait in silence. Actually write down, I'm not joking, write down your USP or 3 mini USPs. What puts you in a better position than others to go and get a job in Asia if that's where you want to work right now, okay? Write it down. Because my USP then came good again. Now, I won't go into the backstory, but a head coach of a national team played in whose team was in a tournament in Taiwan, needed some equipment, some help with some things, ended up getting in touch with me, a British coach. I ended up helping and going back to the networking little gem I gave you. Didn't ask for anything in return. Didn't ask for anything. But I gave. I gave more. I was even did analysis on different teams because I was watching all the games in the tournament. Hong Kong, North Korea, even Taiwan. I knew the players, okay? So I gave as much information, analysis and support as I could. And later on, couple of years down the line, these things don't happen instantly, okay? It's like an investment. If you give and you do your best to help people, eventually, I believe it will come back full circle, okay? So a lot of selfish fuckers out there will just take. It might work out well for you short term, but not a lot's going to stick with you. And a lot of people do take too much. Depends how you're built. So this manager got in touch with me because we connected when we was in Taiwan. When I was in the Philippines, I said, look, I've just been offered potentially offered a job. Well, basically, I've been offered a job in the 2nd tier, so China League One. Interested in coming over. He said, are you up for it? I said, yeah, let's do it. And that was it. Didn't need to convince him because I'd already met him. I already knew the deal. He didn't need to even tell me the club. I said, yeah, I'm behind you. And that's it. My USP again, because I'm a British coach now with 2 clubs, experience at 2 clubs in top tier of 2 Asian countries. And again, logistical reasons, environmental reasons. I knew a little bit about the Chinese culture, a little bit of a language and whatnot. At the time, it's my USP. It probably still is my USP. My location, okay, is my USP. That's why I ask, what is your USP now? Even as a professional coach who's probably had some good jobs, still, what is your USP? Because there's a lot of professional coaches who have done well at the clubs or countries they worked at. What's your USP now? So, ended up going to China. Again, next level. Career-wise, next level. Now, when you start to progress in next level, the money starts to get a little bit better, right? As it should. The higher level you go, depending on what country you go to, finances should pick up. So if you did sacrifice, and I'm not saying it's financial advice to get overdraft or loan or whatever, but I did whatever I needed to do. So again, the investment starts to kind of repay itself. You catch my drift, right? So I went to China. We did very good just because the manager is a very good manager. The assistant coach, another English guy, is a very good coach. I didn't come myself in glory because I was what I needed to do, I was good at, but I was really nervous, man. We had Brazilian players who had played under Sven-Göran Eriksson or Flamengo or Botafogo in Brazil, and we had national team players, and we were playing against some ex-Premier League players. Teixeira, who was meant to go to Liverpool. I think he came from Leverkusen in another team. He played for Suning at the time. Joe, who used to play for Man City with a nice big haircut. Who else? Fabiano, the second top scorers Brazilian player, used to play for Sevilla in Spain. One of the top scorers, all-time top scorers in Brazil. We played against him. Was against coaches like Fabiano Cannavaro, Kiro Ferrara, Jordi Vinyals, who was a Barcelona B coach, Clarence Seedorf. They actually beat us. We beat all the others, but they beat us. Disaster. So we were surrounded by big names, and when you go in there and you feel like everything you do is under the microscope, especially at the time. I'm not A licensed yet, I'm still B licensed. That shouldn't matter. But it was a big jump for me, 2 pro licensed coaches. A lot of nerves got to me, so I didn't do as much coaching as I would have liked. I was with the subs or reserve team or whatnot, but I did a lot of analysis, some individual defensive stuff with the first team. Loved it. Great experience. But for any of you who haven't worked in a professional environment and career-wise, that is something you want to go to, it takes a lot out of you, okay? There's going to be sacrifice. And now I'm going to delete obsession and I'm going to add in priorities. So this is where it links into money, passion, career. Priorities start coming into play. Health. And health, I mean physical health and mental health. It takes its toll. Because depending on what is asked of you, you may not be able to do your normal routine. So for myself, I function. This is another thing why I wasn't as confident as I should have been coaching. I didn't feel good within myself. Okay, so I need to feel good and to perceive that I look the best I can to actually perform well at anything I do, whether it's going out in public speaking. You just feel better. A lot of people don't care, but I do. I try and keep in shape. But when my priority has been career, passion and obsession takes over, sometimes your mental health and physical, the way you look physically takes a back seat. And people like me, maybe you're different, but individuals like me, it has an effect psychologically, and it has the adverse effect. Instead of being top of your game, buzzing, feeling good, looking the best you can in your shell. Obviously, if you look like me, there's not much you can do, but just feeling good about yourself to do the best job you can around good quality people. Okay, you got to do everything you can. So at the same time as that, obviously my brand, my personal brand, and my network was growing and getting bigger, understandably. You're surrounded by these coaches, working with these players. You can say, oh, we're flying for 5 hours in the same country to play away against a former Super League team, or our Brazilian player who used to play under Sven-Göran Eriksson scored a hat-trick, okay? And then media want to start talking to you, interviews and whatnot, and it's building your brand. And then more people want a piece of you. More people want to know you, be associated with you. It's just not because you're awesome, but it's what's around you. It's not so much you as a person, okay? It doesn't even reflect on your level as a coach. However, the perception starts to change. Remember, not so long ago, I was a level 2 coach in England, not really bothered about coaching. And that's a negative, what I've done. So going back to that quick story where people were like, yes, I'm a Leyton Orient U13s, and in 10 years I'll be the manager of Leyton Orient, which is just an example. They're doing things the right way. I believe I'm not the best coach. No, I'm all right at coaching. I'm okay. I'm good. I can coach teams to win, that's for sure. And I've won things. But there are coaches what are just pure coaches. Their food and drink is coaching. All the coaching principles, that know how to deal with each situation, that know what technique, how to coach technique, when to coach, when to make a stop, when to make little changes. So I've probably done the process too fast, where I should have been learning my trade more, but I was focused on career. Whereas more passionate people are probably learning the trade because they want to master the tools of a trade, okay? That's my downfall. I just wanted to be a manager. I just want to win 3 points. I want to win titles. I want to win matches. I want to work with players and help them win. It's not all about me as well, but I wanted to help make a team win and help players be the best at player development. And also, I wanted to try and make a career for myself. And if money comes along after that, which usually it does, if you do pretty good, you do all right. But certainly, professional development, I skipped a lot. So all these academy coaches and whatnot are learning or improving the tools of a trade a lot better. That's for sure. That is for sure. So again, even that is some added information. Okay, there are different routes. You can fast track yourself. It's not cheating the system, but you're probably cheating yourself. I'll say that openly. Which is why if I did go back in as a manager or head coach, I would take an assistant coach with me who's better at coaching than me, and who is passionate about purely coaching. So did well in China, and I'll be honest, even though it ended, we should have got renewed, contracts should have got renewed, but they didn't. But hey, look, you learn this about professional sport, especially football, especially in Asia. You can't take a lot of things on face value, okay? I saw something when I was at home at Christmas on Twitter, back then it was called Twitter, where new staff had been basically given a contract for the team what we were coaching. So that was the end of that. And at the time I was like, shit, I'm still only B license, CB license, and I would have gone anywhere, literally. Well, I did. I went to Africa region. I went to Ghana. But I would have gone anywhere, Serbia, anywhere. I'm not saying these negative countries, but just anywhere, like anywhere you can think of. Serbia, Croatia, Mexico, Ecuador, anywhere I would have gone. However, then you start looking at, I've only got, I say only got, but AFC license. I will talk about quals again later. I'll keep reminding myself, okay? I've got AFC license, not even an A license, not even a pro license. And my experience now is predominantly in Asia. So now my USP isn't so much of a USP if I was looking outside of Asia. However, I built enough of a network, which I was quite confident I can get work if I wanted to. But do you know what? It was a lot of stress. It was a lot of strain in my mental health, a lot of strain in my life, on my marriage, which kind of destroyed, which is no fault of anyone's, but predominantly mine. And yeah, I kind of went into a slump because psychologically I was shot. I didn't feel great, okay? A lot of pressure, a lot of work. The professional environment isn't easy. Like it can ruin you. And especially the way I'm made, the way I'm chemically built up, it's not long-term longevity. It's not healthy for me, which is why I've now stepped away from it to now try and be a good dad, be a good father, be present, and try and keep involved. I fell out of love a little bit with football because I was too scared of becoming obsessed again. Because when I get obsessed about something, that's it. Everything else gets pushed down. I'm going to achieve it. Everything I plan to do in my life, I've achieved because I get obsessed about it. I start getting wrong priorities, okay? Some people can juggle that, great, but I can't. I need to have at least a foundation of, right, I want my exercise in, I need to try and keep mental health. Not to say, do I get the itch to go back coaching 100%? I mean professional coaching for senior team for 3 points. I do. When I'm watching the AFC under 23 Cup at the moment, and I'm looking at the teams, and it excites me. Vietnam, Kyrgyzstan, Kyrgyz Republic now, I think they are. I watched Australia play, Indonesia, and Thailand. I'm like, I miss it. I do miss it. But right now, would I be willing to travel right now? No. So now my priorities changed. My obsessiveness, my passion has changed slightly because I've made other things priority now. Okay. So yeah, I'm not closing that door. However, I was still in that mindset, regardless, I was still B licensed, that, okay, I'm going to get another pro coaching job because now you just feel like, when you've got that self-confidence career-wise and you feel like you built up such a kind of aura. It sounds a bit cheesy, but you're so positive that you feel like you can get another job. The only trouble is it's easy to get another job when you're already in a job. It's difficult when you've been out of a job, and the longer you're out of a job, the more difficult it is to get back in, which I'm probably going to find later on if I go back into professional coaching. But I always like a challenge. So I did. I ended up going to Ghana Division 1. I really enjoyed it, to be honest. Head coach, and to be fair, although I had my issues, I ended up leaving prematurely. Going in the head coach, the club, they tried to, steer me in the right direction. The chairman was awesome. He gave me a lot of leeway and a lot of kind of power, even though, some of the players he'd helped grow up, he'd brought them up himself. He gave them homes and fed them and whatnot. And not once did he say, no, you need to play this striker today. Because my very first match was 0-0. We should have won 3 or 4-0 at home. We had so many chances because I put in a different striker. And everyone was like, what are you doing? But I was so adamant. So just still, arrogance. I should have asked people more. I should have listened to people more. And anyway, then I put the striker that I didn't fancy, but who was normally the best striker, and we start winning. So that was a big learning curve in management, but also coaching. But again, we broke records. So I'd already won. I'm talking about me, like me, because I'm trying to help you build your USP and your belief that you can build a career, okay? So you have to be selfish about building your brand sometimes. But when you're coaching or managing, for sure, it's about getting the result. It's about your players. 100% is about Relationships, you've got to have some kind of charisma. You've got to communicate well if you can. Not everyone naturally has some charisma. People might say I don't, but I've met people who really don't. So you can't just buy charisma, or you can't build charisma or train charisma. You either are charismatic or good with people, or you're not. So we broke records. Like we broke records, okay? The undefeated runs, away matches, because away matches everywhere abroad are difficult for certain reasons. We broke records. We got to the FA Cup third round. But at the same time, I had started my A license before I went to Ghana. So I'd already done my first block of A license in Australia. And yeah, and that was okay. Now, quickly detour into qualifications. That was okay for me to get the job because they took it as B license, and I was kind of at the time doing my A license. Okay, look, depending on the league, the country, different criteria. I mean, look, there's some ex-players what didn't even have a B license when they started coaching in the English leagues. Some countries you only need a B license even to be a national team manager. There have been managers what have coached with C license or level 2, believe it or not, but you need a member of staff to be either A license or B license or pro license. Okay, so there are ways around that. Now, there are some kind of rumors. Yes, UEFA Pro is the king. UEFA Pro is the king. It's your all access to work in Europe, Asia, Americas, anywhere. Okay, you're very well thought of. AFC Pro, okay, you still got pro license. However, it's just deemed a little bit below UEFA pro license. But nowadays, all the content is the same. All the content is the same. But if you get an AFC pro license, for example, like I mentioned before, it's difficult to get on licenses in the UK, especially pro license. And if you're wanting to work in Asia, I'm happy with AFC licenses, okay? Like, it's my ignorance. I'm not going to be living in Europe. I'm not going to be living in UK again. This is my home. So yeah, that's fine with me. But some of you might, you're not doing this for the long term. You might want to go back. So that could be a deciding factor, okay? If you are likely going to be settling down again in Europe or something, then it's probably better to go the UEFA route any way you can. It's not impossible. It just can be difficult. But sometimes if you are rightly or wrongly with a certain pro club or you know certain people, you can get in quicker than someone who hasn't got the connections or at a certain pro club. So if you go with AFC Pro license, that will put you in good stead to then get you onto the UEFA Pro license. If, say, you was in a Super League team in China or Indonesia or whatever, because that would be seen as like a bridge from UEFA A to then the pro license. So the AFC Pro will go in there. Now, there are some rumors where people say, oh yeah, but the AFC A license is only equivalent to B license. That's not true. I know the content of both. Now, whereas the theory, okay, it's all the same, right? It's all the same. And most of it, yes, you've got to tick the boxes, but most of it is how you coach. But look, playing out from the back is the same playing out from the back. Attacking principles are attacking principles. I know each federation, like Australia, have their way, and they were very, very Australian DNA principles of play, okay? And even now, I watch you under 23s, watch you under 19s. You watch Ange in the Premier League, okay? He's Australian DNA through and through, okay? Very technical, very open, like to play out from the back, build up from the back. Great. Always on the try to be on the forefront, on the front foot. And but most other contexts is the same. Defensive principles, okay, right. Defensive principles, number one, yeah, you got to put pressure on, you got to delay, you got to wait for support, you got to try and block the cross, okay? They don't change through federation. But yeah, some of the testing is differently. Like people are saying sometimes Spanish or Italian or Serbian FA is easier to get qualified, and rightly or wrongly it does happen, or different prices or whatnot. But overall, depending where you're going to coach or where you want to coach or live, you can do your courses, coach education quicker, rightly or wrongly. at a cheaper price or at more convenience. So it's incorrect. If you have an AFCA license, you aren't automatically considered a B license. However, if you have an AFCA license and you're trying to get onto a UEFA Pro license, the English FA, for example, the English FA would consider your A license as in between UEFA A and UEFA B, like a bridge, okay? So that would then push you to go for the UEFA A license to then get your UEFA Pro license, if you understand what I mean. It's like AFCA is taken by some federations as not equal as a B license, just a bit better, but under the UEFA A license, if that makes sense. So it's like a 0.5 addition, okay? But that doesn't mean that it's bad. And that doesn't mean, oh, he's UEFA B, you're AFCA, oh, he's better than you, or she's better than you, or whatever. No. And anyway, you can have a pro license coach who's shocking, and a level 2 coach, or even some coaches who are just really good at coaching who are better than an A license coach or B license coach. You can have grassroots coaches who are better than coaches who work in professional senior teams. Okay, it's true. It is true. Like I mentioned before, youth coaches, grassroots coaches probably can do some things better than me coaching. Okay, but when it comes down to it, I'm going to get the 3 points without a doubt. So that's something to consider when you're looking at your qualifications, you're looking at your career, and that's when you're going into the why. Okay, did Ghana give me the money? No, but it gave me that status. It helped me get that identity, how to build my brand, continue my brand as a bridge to then hopefully get another job. And it helped me work with, again, great group of players. It helped me to work against other team, very tactical. When you're going away, you need to be more defensive because a draw will be a good result. If you get a 1-1 or 0-0, but we were winning 1-0 or 2-1 away matches, okay? Because that's one of my strong points. It's tactical decisions and setting your team up not to lose. I can be very pragmatic. So it all depends. Again, career, where's your passion lead to? What's your why? Or some people might go for the money. Yes, if you get to the highest point you can in your career, the money will naturally come. But some people do also use the football industry now as some kind of money-making vehicle because they don't really want to do it for career. They want to do it more as a business, or it's not really their true passion anymore, but they don't mind a bit of coaching, which I'll touch on in a minute when I've just finished my story. So I finished in Ghana, came back, and that was enough for me. I've seen a lot of the inside, the behind the curtains of football, which some people hear things what go on, but I've seen things what go on, and I've had things what go on happen to me. And I'm like, right, I've got a son now. He was a baby at the time, but now he's grown up. I want to be around with him. Okay, that's one thing. Also, can I trust this industry? Can I trust my career when you can wake up one day and a decision's been made out of your hands for no fault of yours, and all of a sudden your bonuses are gone, the money what you're earning is gone, you lost your job, that's it, and you're done. And for me, it just didn't work well. My anxiety and whatnot, my mental issues, it didn't work well, and I needed something more stable. I needed to focus my priorities again on my health, on my mindset. So I headed back and I just tried to keep involved in football. I helped set up some academies. I did some grassroots work, some academy work. During that time, I was also working in an academy as academy manager, technical director. So, it's not just about being a head coach, academy coach, it can lead in different things. I helped to develop and build and scale different academies across Asia as well. I helped some coaches get jobs. I helped players move and get jobs. Yeah, I did some B2B. And then I stepped away from football because I was scared that if I opened Pandora's box again, that I'll be back into the obsession. It'll be unhealthy for me. It wouldn't be good for my son. And I've sacrificed that. Right now, I get the itch a lot, especially when I talk to people who are in the industry who are coaching. And you can see the stress, you know it's hard work, but they love it. They're generally passionate about it. I'm not passionate about coaching. I'm passionate about going into games and winning and preparing for a game. I like coaching, preparing for a game. But I don't wake up in the morning and think, can't wait to coach today. A lot of people do, and they are coaches what you need on your staff. A lot of good coaches out there. But for me, it doesn't give me that buzz. But if it's waking up and it's a few days before an important game, yeah, I love building. I love coaching to prepare for them 3 points or to prepare not to get beat. I absolutely love that and dealing with that. So that's different. My passion is different for football. But I was scared to open Pandora's box. I've been ignorant. I stopped following a lot of football. I lost a lot of my contacts, a lot of my network. But now I'm getting to the point where I've created and passed on and moved on some businesses that I've built on my own. And I'm starting to get back involved again. I do some work with my friend Sol Isaacson-Hurst, one of the best individual play developers in the world. If you don't know, he started My Personal Football Coach 2013, I think. Works with some international players, some Premier League players. Semenyo, who's just moved to Man City. Also, Manueke, who's now at Arsenal, moved from Chelsea. Okay, he's been coaching them one-to-one for many years now. Other players, he's worked with players from Paris, Juventus and Monaco. So yeah, I've done a lot of work with him, and now I also work with My Personal Football Coach. By the way, this is just a little, slip this in a little bit. There are so many courses on My Personal Football Coach. This isn't for players, this video, but superb resource for players, tools for players, but also for coaches, where coaches can actually focus on developing players technically. And you're getting resources and tips from one of the best at it at the world. So he's an amazing bloke and one of the best at what he does. So I'll put in the description in the comments, okay, you got to go on the website. Don't go on the app yet, go on the website. You can see all the different courses or resources. And if you put in MW1, M for Matt, W for Ward, number 1, MW1, at the checkout, you'll get 10% discount, okay? There you go. That's what I'm giving to you. You'll get 10% discount. A few things I can recommend. They've got the now one-to-one course. So what we're going to be talking about, making money now, very useful if you're building your business. Technical coach, one-to-one coach, individual skills coach. Also, there's level 1 and level 2 coaching courses, but also they do position specific. So if you want to actually start focusing on being an attacking coach, defensive coach, midfielder coach, or specialize, which going back to USP, that's a place where you want to be. Get on the striker course, what he's got going. I think it's £100 striker course. Use a discount, get it for £90. Perfect. Because you may want to, not a lot of coaches like to pigeonhole themselves like a long throw specialist, but you may want to specialize in being an attacking coach, okay? You never know. So yeah, I'll put that in the link anyway. But going back on to the money side of things, okay, so that is basically talking about all my history, all my moves, how I got there, what I did. You should have been making notes from that because it's basically a blueprint. I've told you what you need to do. I told you how I did it. You just need to take all of that and replicate it on your template for your needs, for your specific needs, your specific why. But now, a lot of people are building their own academies. They may be stepped away from coaching, but there's some kind of technical director or whatnot. And yeah, it can make a lot of money. So is a passion for coaching still there? Is a career still there? No, but they're focusing on money. Or you may be now at the level where you're signing to be head coach of a national team in Asia. And then you get sacked and you get paid out. You do get paid out, not as much as the Premier League managers, but you do get payouts. Okay, you do get, if your contract is terminated, if it's the right contract and you've done everything proper, you've got your own solicitor or attorney or lawyer or whatnot, okay, you can still make money. But the balance is priorities, okay? Are you now doing it just to fill a gap? Because that's all you know, because you can only be a football manager now. Do you really enjoy it? These are questions you may ask yourself. You're going to have to battle hard with that. Some people do become one-on-one coaches, small group coaches. Look at Seoul, one of the best in the world doing it, working with Premier League players from top leagues in Europe, England national team players. You've got to say that is now the top of your career, okay? If you are going to specialize and be technical coach, one-on-one coach, skills development coach, that is what you're aiming for. Okay, so that's why I did tell you about my kind of working relationship, my affiliation with Seoul, which is what it is. I also look after the club partnerships. So a lot of professional clubs and grassroots clubs around the world use his app. Get in touch with me. I'll put my email down below as well, matt@mattwardfootball.com. Get in touch and we can work things out. So, you may still be focusing on career. You may be at a semi-pro club or a pro club what only pays kind of semi-pro money somewhere in Asia. And you may need to supplement yourself by starting your own academy or doing one-to-ones and making some extra. You may make a one-to-one business, okay, which is perfect if you're passionate about it. Have I done private sessions? Yeah, I still do. But I find myself where someone says, oh, do you want to train my kid? And I'll be like, yeah, okay, this is what I charge. And they're like, oh, that's a bit pricey. But my mentality is, I'm sorry, but my experience, I'm okay. I'm pretty good at it. I'm better at most at doing it. You got to pay for that exclusivity. And I'm sorry, but I'm passionate. I love doing it when I'm doing it. But, people are like, I don't get out of bed for less than that. It's not that attitude, but it's like, right, if I'm going to give you my time, my expertise, my experience, yeah, sorry, but this is the rate I charge. And where I was kind of working for free before, I'm not as passionate as I was because I'm not building my way up where I can actually, I'm kind of already at a higher level than I was when I was doing things for free. Not to say you shouldn't do things for free, but priorities change. If you've got other things going on, other ways you generate income, you might have other work. You might be working at a professional club what isn't paying enough, but you got spare time and they allow you to work with other clubs. It happens. I know coaches who coach for the first team, but also they work for private academies as well, or they do one-on-one work, okay? It is a thing. I know coaches what go in and work at pro clubs around Asia for 3 or 4 months, or maybe it's like a shorter term league or something. I've got a friend who's just been in India doing that for a regional league, a franchise league, but he's got his own academy in Vietnam, okay? Does very well. Very good coach, good person. He's able to nip out, do a job. And for me, I like that. It fulfills that itch, that scratch, to scratch the itch, that's what I'm trying to say, of that competitiveness, preparing the team for the 3 points for the win. But also, it doesn't mean that you've got to stay out there for 2 years away from your family. Okay. And if you are in Asia and you're moving out to Asia and it's just 2 or 3 month contract, great. And then you're going back and you got your academy, what you run or you own. Okay. So I'm giving you some ideas here. Okay. I'm talking through your why, your career, your passion and money. Also thinking about, telling you about how priorities do actually change throughout the time and how your USPs also might change. All of these things do come together, and your vision, your philosophy, your values, your motivation, your passion, your needs, your priorities will all change. Even now, even if you're more experienced than me, older than me, okay, you maybe can relate to this as coaches who had a professional playing career, they've been national team managers or they manage more clubs or whatever, but I'm sure a lot of people can find this relatable. And that is why it's stressful. The environment is stressful. People think it's a dream to be a football coach. It was my dream. It's not easy. And when you see coaches say they're shit, they go there, they get sacked. They go there, they lose. You don't know what is happening behind the curtain. You don't know what is happening behind closed doors. More often than not, the ownerships are very difficult. It's very difficult to manage her up. It's difficult to manage down, to manage her up, especially in different regions. It's very difficult. Against external factors, it's very difficult to succeed. You've got to, well, not just Asia, but any region, any country, any league, you've got to go in there knowing that you're going to be sacked at one point, right? It's not going to last forever unless you've kind of been part of that club forever and they're not really going anywhere and they're happy to have you. Whereas you're the part of the furniture, you're probably going to lose your job at some point, and just be ready for that. Just be ready for that. I will mention Steve Darby, a well-traveled coach, will say the same thing. You know something's going to happen. You're going to lose your job if it's not because of poor results, something external factors, environmental factors, what you can't control. That's just how it works. And I really think if you did listen to all the way through, although, yes, I went off a few times, very disjointed, I'm really confident that you did get some value out of that. There's going to be more videos, Asia-specific, football-specific. I'm going to be going around some clubs, doing some interviews. I'm going to be interviewing some coaches who are working abroad, especially in Asia, just to really help to pass on the feeling of what it's like. And also to give some experience of Malaysian football matches, Vietnamese, Indonesian football matches. I've already got a Taiwanese one on my channel, which you can go and visit, okay? And talk to academy coaches, academy owners. I'm going to break everything down on this channel right now, and I'm very grateful for you for watching.